Okay, and we're back. How much?
Well, I guess just to sum everything up, the next year is going to be very, very heavy duty for everybody in the world. There's a lot at stake here. There's really everything at stake here. What happens in Donbass, as I have often said, as goes Donbass, so goes the world. What happens here will determine what's going to happen around the world for, the rest of our lives. The rest of our lives, literally. And if we can stop fascism here, the international capitalist imperialism, then we've got a chance to turn the tide and to make a truly multipolar world, which is what we need. The unipolar world since 1990 has proven to be such a disaster. The people that thought they were going to take over the world have shown themselves what they truly are, which is mass murdering psychopaths. And Hillary Clinton is nothing but their tool, their bootlicker. She is a clinical psychopath herself. She doesn't care about anyone, and she will literally destroy the world to further her own means and the means of her masters, the 1% oligarchs and billionaires that want to kill most of us and make slaves out of the rest. So it's really, this is the apocalypse right now, and we have a choice. It's up to every human being in this world to do their part to save the future of the human race. And there's many ways to do that. Changing people's minds, talking, getting out real, true information. I mean, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. And as Ralph Nader used to say, if you don't turn on to politics, then politics will turn on you. And just because you live in London or Dallas or Tokyo doesn't mean that you won't be affected either. It's the choice of every human being now to do their part or to suffer the consequences if they just let the world keep on going like it has been for the last 25 years. So, talk to people, share true information. You can get good information from me. Just Google Russell Texas Bentley. A ton of stuff will just come up. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Donbass Cowboy. I'm on VContact. I'm on Facebook whenever I'm not continuously being blocked for 30 days for bogus reasons. But I'm doing my job as an information warrior here. I'm also still a soldier. If I go back to the front, I'm ready at any time. I go back quite frequently. And who knows? I mean, like I said, the Ukrainian Nazi army is about 5 miles from my home. And, if the war kicks off here, they can be at my doorstep in an hour. And, if they are, then as we say in Texas, remember the Alamo. I'm not going to surrender. There's no place for me and the good people of Donbass to retreat to. So we're going to stay here and fight to the end. Of course, every decent person in the world does not want war, either small or world war or nuclear war. But there are some very evil people here that think if it is to their advantage, they are willing to start all these kinds of wars. And it's our job as decent people to stop them from doing that, to prevent the war if there's any way humanly possible, and if not, then to fight to the end till Победа или смерть, until victory or death. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what Sud Vremeni is going to do. We're not just defending Donbass and Russia. We are defending all the good people in the world. And right now is the time. This is the moment of truth. And what every single one of us does now counts. And it's what we do and what we don't do that will decide the outcome of this truly worldwide battle. As Einstein said, The world will not be destroyed by evil people. It will be destroyed by the good people who saw it happen and did nothing. So everybody has their choice. And actually, even though Einstein was probably a little smarter than me, I have to disagree with that saying just a little bit, because the people that see what's going on and do nothing, in my opinion, they're not good people. They are barely worthy of the brain and spine that they have, because it takes courage, it takes intelligence, it takes dedication, and it takes true moral values to defeat the genuine, literally satanic evil that is unleashed upon the world right now. And I'm talking about ISIS and the Ukrainian Nazis here, both of which are really backed and created by the true evil, which is the Western oligarchs, the fascist capitalists, the one percenters who literally want to make the world into their concentration camp and their slave camp. They want to kill most of us and enslave the rest. Zbigniew Brzezinski, who is a leading neocon political theorist in the United States. He's been in government and connected with government since the 1970s. He recently said that with today's technology, and I quote, "It is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people." And so that's their plan, is to kill off most of us and enslave the rest. All you have to do is consider what kind of person could use the words infinitely easy and kill 1 million people in the same sentence. That's what we're up against. That is true evil in the most basic sense of the word. And that's what we're fighting against. And if we don't win, we will be either destroyed or enslaved. So gird your loins, do what needs to be done. Hitting like on a Facebook page is not enough. Voting in rigged elections is not enough. It's going to take all the good people in the world coming together in real solidarity, doing more than talking, doing as much or more than the next guy until we get the job done. And, I don't consider myself a hero. I just consider myself a regular guy who understands what's at stake and what needs to be done. And that's what I'm here doing. And people that want to help, they can send us a little financial support. They can do what you're doing, sharing information, making videos. But it's not going to be easy, but we have no choice. This is a job that has to be done. So, if I'm setting a good example, if Sue Bremeni's setting a good example, then join us. As it says, as Jesus said in the Bible, by their fruits you will know them. Talk is cheap. What people do, what they accomplish, that tells you all that you need to know. So let's do what needs to be done. Let's win this battle for the sake of ourselves and future generations of humanity, and for the sake of just doing what's the right thing to do. Let's not just roll over on for these Nazis, and let's not be willing slaves. Let's not be hopeless cowards. Now is the time. We have to fight by whatever means necessary. So let's get busy. As the great commander, late commander of the Novorussian Army, Motorola, said, "Работаем, братьям." Let's get to work, brothers and sisters. So this is Tejas and Donbass doing my job, hoping you guys are going to all do yours. Together we can make a better world for everyone. So, davai.
That was very good. 20 minutes left.
Okay. Any other sound bites you think, or
Well, you do. Do you want to talk about the Dakota pipeline?
Sure, man. I can talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Although, I mean, and dude, I lived in South Dakota for 3 years, dude. I went to the Lakota Sweat Lodge more than 100 times, and that was a very, very, very tough, arduous experience. And I did it well, and I did it well enough that I won the respect of Native Americans, and they invited me to join their tribe, and I did. And I mean, I am a member of the Sisseton Lakota tribe. I have an Indian name, which they gave me back in 1998. And when you have an Indian name, you don't get to choose your name. They give you the name that they, what they see, of how you are. And the name that they gave me was Oyate Yahapaki, which means he speaks for his people. And I guess they got it pretty much right, because that's what I do now. Words are important. The information war is important. What the great Native American people are doing in North Dakota is important. They are protecting the water. They are standing up for their rights. I mean, people talk about, how Black Lives Matter, and racial prejudice and stuff in the United States. There is no people that have ever suffered more and been more oppressed and more brutalized than the Native American, the indigenous people of North America, both in Canada and in the United States. I have great respect for them. They are my brothers and sisters, and I wish them the best. Everybody, I mean, by what they're doing there is also contributing to making a better world. If they can stop that pipeline, it'll be a great victory, and I hope they do. The way that they're doing it so far, non-violently and with prayers and by, following kind of the Gandhi path, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work. I don't know exactly for them what will work, but I wish them the best, and I hope that they will be victorious. And all I can say is that they should be, and whatever means necessary, as Malcolm X said, the great black leader, American leader. So I wish them the best, and I wish them victory.
Okay. Yeah, that was perfect. You said you had nothing to say. I don't believe that.
Yeah, and honestly, I know a lot about Lakota culture, their history, and the way their society was structured. And really, the Lakota society, the original Lakota society, was very communistic. It was based on prestige, and the Lakota tribe was not by who had the most, but by who gave the most. The two ways to get prestige in the Lakota tribes was to be brave in battle and to be generous. And it was truly the entire tribe was one big family. And I mean, that's the true way to look at the world. The human race is really one big family. I'm totally against identity politics. I understand that black people and gays and women have been oppressed, and I'm totally against that. But I'm an egalitarian, and I say that the best way for each of those minorities to find, to defeat their own oppression is to fight against oppression of all people. And the communist movement, the Soviet Union, they really did. I mean, and of course mistakes were made, but really they set an example for the world. My greatest hero was Che Guevara, and You know, he said that what we need is a new socialist man. We need a new kind of human being, a new person whose attitude is to make the whole, not make a better world for himself, but to make the world better for everyone in it. Because if the world's better for everyone, then it's going to be better for you too. And that's why I'm a communist. And by communism, you know, I don't mean that, you know, a brain surgeon or, you know, a musical genius or a computer programmer should make the same money that a street sweeper, you know, or a dog catcher makes. I don't mean that. By communism, what I mean is that there should be, in any civilized society, and civilization means that we should, you know, we should cause the minimum amount of suffering for anyone that's humanly possible. And if we want to make a better world, we have to make a world in which every person in that world can fulfill their human potential. A kid that, you know, is homeless or doesn't have enough to eat or can't get a decent education, you know, he can be a genius. He could be another Beethoven or Einstein. But if he doesn't have enough to eat, he's not going to be thinking about the theory of relativity or the Ninth Symphony. He's going to be thinking about going and shoplifting some food from the local convenience store. So we have to make a world where everyone can fulfill their human potential. That means that they don't have to worry about sleeping on the street. They don't have to worry about if they're going to be able to eat tomorrow. They don't have to worry about if they get sick, that they won't be able to get medicine if they can't pay for it. They don't have to worry about if they're a genius, they still can't have a teacher that can teach them how to read and write. So all these things in a decent society must be available to every member of that society. And the way to do that, to make a limit on how poor people can be, you have to make a limit on how rich people can be. And I got no problem with somebody that has $1 million. That's okay. Even $10 million is not out of the question. You know, when you start getting to someone with $20 million, I start thinking they're a little bit richer than they deserve to be, and than they need to be. But there's people in this world that are billionaires that own $1,000 million, and no one can work so hard or so well that they can earn $1,000 million. And a lot of these billionaires, they don't just have 1 billion, they got 2 or 5 or 15 or 25 or 55 billion, $1,000 million. So what we need to do is take that money away from them. In the United States, the 400 richest people own more than the poorest 50% of U.S. citizens. So that means 400 people own more than 150 million people. And there's no excuse for that. And those 150 million people have been robbed by those 400 people. And what they need to do is all come together, no matter if they're black or gay or whatever, a woman, whatever minority they are, they have to say, we have to put identity politics aside. You know, as Karl Marx said, workers of the world unite. The proletariat includes all minorities. And so once that 150 million people come together, then they're bigger than any army. They're more powerful than any army. If they can have solidarity, they cannot be defeated. And they can defeat the evil machine that works to enrich people that are already way too rich. So that's simply, you know, one of my favorite communist expressions. And I love it. Expropriate the expropriators. You know, rob from the rich and give to the poor. Let's do it. however we have to do it, whatever it takes, because the alternative is death or slavery. And, you know, I have no mercy on people that want to be masters of other human beings, and I have nothing but contempt for people that are willing to become slaves or be enslaved because they're either too stupid or cowardly or lazy to stand up and do something about it. So, you know, whatever good I've done, whatever good my example holds, you know, take a lesson from it. I'm not a great hero. I'm just a regular guy that understands what's going on and what's at stake. Figure it out for yourself. You know, there's a lot of lies. It's, you know, the truth is very obscured these days. You know, there's, you know, of all the information on the internet, you know, 90% of it's bullshit. You got to figure out, you got to cut through. You got to use your brain and you got to use your heart to understand, you know, what's really true. And if you do that, the truth all of a sudden is revealed. And the truth is, we're all in this together. If, you know, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So you have to feel it, like Che Guevara said, that an injustice anywhere is an injustice against you just as much. So, you know, the time for spreading the truth and information continues always, but once you understand that, once you understand what's really going on, then it's time to act. And the way to act is whatever it takes. And that's the simple truth, and if you don't, then you'll deserve everything you get.
Okay.
So good luck and get busy.
That's great. You promised me 45 minutes and you've given me almost 3 hours.
Okay, well,
You see the smile on my face that you've caused?
I'm sharing, dude. So, I mean, and I want to say again, and I suppose your real name is, I want to say I'm really very, very happy to be working with you, bro. You know, I see your work, man. I'm very impressed by what you're doing.
Yeah,
you're the kind of guy that gives me hope for the future.
Matt Florence on Facebook, add me.
I will in 30 days when I can.
I just come back from a 30-day ban too.
Yeah, those motherfuckers are getting really bad about it. I mean, you know, the whole internet and everything like that, I think was intended as, you know, as a tool for surveillance, you know, and for propaganda. And, you know, the unintended consequence was that we've turned it into a tool for, you know, for progress, you know, and I think that they're really starting to get scared of the power of that tool, you know, and it's, you know, it's good people like you that have done such excellent work, you know, that have made it the tool for good that it is, and you know, as long as we can keep it up, let's keep it up. And dude, anytime that there's anything I can ever do for you, man, you just let me know.
That's the best soundbite that anyone's ever given me.
Well, I mean it, dude. I'm not bullshitting. And you know, I mean, and I've done a lot of interviews with, you know, a lot of, you know, different, you know, journalists and stuff like that. And, you know, I mean, that's part of my job, so I do it. But I mean, I have a great deal of enthusiasm for our relationship, dude, and I hope we can do a lot of stuff together.
That's fine. And some more videos in the future.
Yeah, shit, yeah. And check it out, bro. If once you graduate, you should give your graduation present to yourself and come here for a visit, bro. It will.
I will.
It will.
It'll be journalism work, though.
Your bones.
It'll be journalism because I want to come back.
Yeah, sure, of course.
You
man,
see, there, these aren't fighting arms.
Well, dude, journalism is just as important as pulling a trigger, dude. Aiming a camera is like aiming an RPG, man. Except a camera has a further range than an RPG.
And what was
And
that saying that
it's-
I've heard you mention that before. You met, was it when you met Motorola? And he talked to you about becoming an information warrior because it was more useful.
No. Actually, it wasn't Motorola. Although I've met him a couple of times. It was the combat commander of when I joined Sud Vremeny. We were in Vostok Battalion,
Okay.
and then after about 6 months, Sud Vremeny, which was its own, like 50-man unit. And Vostok Battalion was like maybe 1,000 guys. And Sud Vremeny got transferred to a Spetsnaz battalion called Han Battalion. In Russian it's spelled like X-A-H, but it's pronounced like Genghis Khan. And that was a very, very, hardcore special forces Spetsnaz battalion. And dude, I'm 56, and so I wasn't really, good for, walking with a 100-pound pack for, 50 kilometers straight, But I'm unique because I'm, one of the very, very few English-speaking guys that's been a soldier here. And, without trying to brag, at this information warfare, I'm pretty good at. I've done, like I said, I had a lot of experience as a political activist in the States. I was a musician professional musician for some years, so it doesn't make me nervous to be in front of cameras or be in front of a big crowd. It was kind of funny because one of the reasons that the commander of Han Battalion suggested that I go to information war was because, we made videos then too. He had like his own information center for Han Battalion. And and there'd be these dudes, that, could eat a snake, that, could, crawl on their bellies for 10 kilometers, and sneak up and, kill 20 fascists with a knife, Super hardcore Spetsnaz soldiers, but then they'd get in front of the camera and they'd be like, oh, I don't know what to say, I'm shy, And so it was kind of funny. And actually, I have pretty good skills in that department. So, I do whatever they need me to do. And right now what they need me to do is what I'm good at. And as long as I'm good at it, I'll keep doing it. If, otherwise I'll just go back to pulling a trigger at the front. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind doing it, and I'm always, a couple of nights ago it was some of the guys from the Sud Vremeny Information Service, like 3 guys all had their birthdays like within a couple of weeks of each other. So we had a party for them, and it was barbecue. And they live on the part of town that's pretty close to the airport. And we're out there and we're having a barbecue, it's like 9 o'clock at night, and a pretty heavy firefight's going on at the airport, maybe 3 kilometers away. And it's mortars and tanks and heavy machine guns and, Kalashnikovs. And it went on for a couple of hours, pretty steady shooting. And we're sitting there, drinking tea and, cooking shish kebabs. And it's kind of weird, and every time I hear that stuff, it makes me want to go there, But our work in information warfare is equally as important because, the Nazis, and I don't mean the ones in Ukraine, but the ones that own the ones in Ukraine, they have powerful armies. They have nuclear weapons. To defeat them militarily is a very, very difficult proposition. And, the only way that there's really any real hope is by doing it by solidarity. If 150 million people in the United States all of a sudden say, hey, you know what? We're not voting. We're not working. In fact, we're marching on Washington right now. That's what can defeat it, you know, because if 150 million civilians do that, I mean, the whole U.S. military is only like, you know, 3 or 5 million soldiers and, you know, Navy and shit, you know. And if 150 million American citizens start marching on Washington, then a lot of those soldiers are going to join them too. And then when the oligarchs say, hey, push the button, kill 1 million people, soldiers are going to say no. And so that's my real hope for victory. And that's information war, bro. We have to win their hearts and minds. And it is actually possible for us to do that because, you know, the truth and God and good is on our side.
The time's just about to run out in a few seconds.
Okay. Well, I got some shit I got to do too, man.
Yeah, we've talked for a while.
Yeah.
But we will again. We'll make more videos in the future. I hope, anyway.
Well, let's do that, Dan. And take your time. I mean, if you want, what